Welcome to Tail Talk Grooming Chronicles with Hound Therapy, the podcast where we talk all things pet grooming, daycare, academy, and more. Hosted by Shannon and Tanya of Hound Therapy, serving pet owners across North Texas. We're here to share expert tips, hilarious pet stories, and the inside scoop on keeping your furry friends happy and healthy. Our motto, humanity over vanity. And don't worry, we don't bite. Let's get started. Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
Texas heat is no joke, and when you combine extreme temperatures with a matted coat, the danger skyrockets. Today, we are breaking down why matting becomes a very serious health risk and how homeowners can prevent it before summer hits full force. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Sophia Yvette, co-host and producer, back in the studio with Shannon and Tanya, professional groomers at Hound Therapy. Hi, ladies. So lovely to be back with you today. Now, this next topic is one you see every summer. Matted dogs plus Texas heat equals dangerous combo. Can you walk us through what that means and some practical tips to help your dog stay safe?
Absolutely. Um, let's start with the truth is w- always that a healthy coat that's maintained properly is going to help your dog. So keep that in mind. That the temperature of your dog is regulated through their skin, not their hair. So a lot of people think that the fur means more protection from the heat, and that's not necessarily true. It the a well-maintained coat will definitely help them to regulate their body temperature much better. So know that. Matted dogs can overheat much faster than unmatted dogs. Let's start with what exactly is matting, right? It's the difference between tangles and true mats. Tangles are not dangerous to your dogs. They're annoying, but they're not going to help your dog to overheat.
Matting is more close to the skin, and we've said it in multiple podcasts before. It can grow. It doesn't just stay in one spot. It usually starts, say, behind the ear, and then it'll grow, and it'll keep going down the neck, and then before you know it, the whole collar area, and it keeps going. I had one today, and this dog has literally never really been matted his whole life, and we had to shave him down.
Oh, excuse me, pom-poms and everything.
Yes, it broke my heart.
Excuse me. I'm fighting allergies. So yeah, that's a tangle is something that dangles away from the skin. A mat is something that gets closer and closer to the skin. So, and the most common areas behind the ears, under the collar and the harness, armpits, sanitary areas, and the tails and hindquarters. All of the areas that have working mobile parts or sweaters, harnesses, or collars that are wrapped around bandanas. This is a big year for bandanas. All of those, anything that provides friction is going to be those areas that are going to be your number one telltale trouble spots. Um, some health problems that you can have due to matting. So if you notice those mats and you're not there, moisture gets trapped underneath that skin, which causes a hot spot. I think we've talked about this before, which then causes a skin infection and could possibly cause fungal growth. Fleas and parasites hiding unnoticed because you won't be able to see them. We had a couple the other day.
We had one today actually too.
Mm.
Like the matting can cause brooding, and with the overheating, like these mats are just like you wearing a fur coat when it's 100 degrees outside.
And
It it can't breathe. You
it
can't.
literally will trap the heat in. And why Texas makes it worse. You know, we've got the World Soccer Cup coming here now. We talked about this
It's
now,
already
and
here.
everyone is oh yeah, I forgot it started. So everyone's like, oh, the Americans, and we're lazy and we have to have all of these extra, the it's hot here.
And humid.
We need AC.
The humidity almost makes it 100 times worse.
So it's different conditions. These dogs they cannot regulate through this heat and the moisture. So you add that moisture that's in the air on top of the heat. It's not a dry heat. We don't have, I mean, I lived in California for years with no no air conditioning, one window unit. Never had a problem inside my house. Here, the doors are closed. I don't open the windows. That AC is cranked down. It is a very different kind of a temperature here in Texas.
Mhm.
I'm not saying there are other places that aren't just as hot, but here is what I know. And this is where we see dogs. So dogs that are struggling to cool themselves already, they become even more vulnerable for those. So if they're overweight, if if they live outside, we need to make sure that Texas summer safety is
Yep.
maintaining those coats. And if you have to shave a coat on a dog that you wouldn't typically do, that's not always the best outcome, but it might be the best, safest way. Know that we've talked about this before. If you shave down a double coated breed, it can cause some other issues. The hair might grow back a little differently. It could possibly get sunburned. So you might need to put like a light t-shirt, which sounds dumb. Why would I put a shirt on my dog? I just had it shaved so it could stay cool. Well, that skin's not used to being exposed to
And
the
your
sun.
dog can still sunburn.
So, those are just some it's like backward reverse psychology. You're like, why would I do this if I have to do that? But if we had to demat and blow that out, if I can't get through it, I can't get through it. We have just as much risk of hurting or cutting your dog to get underneath those mats. So again, it's how close to the skin is it, um, ver-
Yeah.
based on the severity.
And it's how much can the dog handle as well.
Yeah.
So, when a dog arrives heavily matted, what does a safe and humane grooming plan look like besides shaving the dog all the way down?
Sometimes the safest way is to shave the dog all the way down.
Yeah.
So for us, um, if I cannot get through it, in other words, I've shaved a dog that the entire dog came off in one fell. It
Yep.
was like a carpet. The legs, the back, the ears, from the place that I started, in a very low blade, and the entire dog. The time you could lay it out, you could see the dog, you can lay it back on the dog.
It was like a bearskin rug, but on our grooming floor.
So in those cases, there is no other choice. We do everything that we can, and I like to think that most groomers do. I know there's a lot that don't because it's so much easier to just shave them. Allow for some more time. Work on some of those mats at home if you can possibly. Make sure that your dog can tolerate it. It's a long time on a table here, so they've got to be able to stand for long hours. If they can't, we may want to talk about what we can do about finding a happy medium. We can't do anything if we can't get our clippers through it, if we can't get our mats and rakes through it. If we've got to find a starting point that we can do safely that's humane. Sometimes it's just easier to start over. Sometimes it's the best thing to do to just start over. So there's where you have to decide, are we doing this because it's the easiest, or are we doing this because it's what's the most humane? For us, it's usually what's most humane, but sometimes it's because it's easier. And I know that this dog, their owner may not
Yeah.
have the funds to come in another 8 weeks. They may not be able to maintain it. So we're going to go ahead and advise it, say, look, let's give you a length that your dog comes in once a year. This is his one-time shave. He's not going to any shows. He's not showing off his looks to anyone, but we need him to be comfortable and confident that when that dog goes home, that he's going to be able to regulate his body temperature and heat, be comfortable, and live in the surviving area that he lives in currently. He's got to live in the environment that he's in. I'm not placing these dogs in that environment.
Yeah.
So that is something that we take into consideration because not all dogs get to live inside. I mean, I would say 90% of our
Yeah.
dogs live inside, but we do a lot of once a year dogs and they don't. They prefer to be outside. They're big, they're heavy coated, matted. It's summer. And, what do you do? So it really depends on what we're able to do for the owner, cost effective, and for the dog for sure amount of periods of times. Sometimes we'll split that grooming up into one or two. I have sent a client home and said, brush on your dog, come back next week. And he did. And he got through a lot more of them. Didn't have to pay as much for me to do it. I wouldn't have had the time to spend a week brushing out his dog. And we were able to meet with a halfway happy medium. So, you can work together with your groomer as well too, but sometimes it's about you putting in the work and doing it little steps at a time, small areas so that the dog doesn't get overwhelmed.
I love that. Now, final question before we close out today. Are certain coat types or breeds more vulnerable to heat related complications when matted?
Absolutely. I'm going to go with breeds and coat types because any dog that has a flat nose, it,
That's your
bulldogs,
bulldogs, your Frenchies, your pugs.
any flat-faced dog, is gonna have a problem. They have a hard time regulating their heat. They will I have seen many English bulldogs go outside for, to pee. The door got shut. 20 minutes later, their dogs were passed, because it was so hot. They just overheated
They
and
they
their
don't have
body
the
shut down.
airways.
So any any kind of a flat-faced dog, do not leave that dog outside. Make sure you let them out, go out with them. If you see that it's overweight, or you see that they're getting hot or that it's hot. If you're hot, you both come inside, cool down. He'll go again later. You can try multiple times.
Mhm.
Coat types are going to be double coated breeds. I would say for the most part. The dogs that labs, dogs that have a lot of smooth s terriers.
Yeah.
Those dogs are pretty good at regulating. They don't have actual, problems getting a spot to a point where they're not able to, kind of regulate that themselves. It's the dogs that have that really cotton underfur that
They
doesn't come out. That's what's gonna hold that heat in. Imagine, you putting the cotton fluff of your coat just hovering it over your head and wearing like a hat over that. It's not gonna let the heat escape. So that's kind of, and as it doesn't escape, it's just gonna build up. So those would be the two I would say the most dangerous. Your
yeah.
double coated breeds, chows, collies, um,
Aussies, Pyrenees.
all of those dogs need to be brushed. They need to have some airway that's able to you need to be able to get to the skin on those dogs with your combs. If you can't, you need to bring them in so that somebody can do that for you before you get to that shaved restart position. And any
And
flat-nosed dog,
yeah.
any dog with I don't if it's a mix, a mutt, if they do not have a good airway, they are not to be outside for long periods of time. And I would say probably rule of thumb is no more than 20 minutes, especially in direct heat, in mid July and August.
Play and exercise in the mornings or the afternoons when it's cooler. I did wanna say with the double coated breeds too, you could ask we do it for sure. You could ask your groomer that you use. For those double coated breeds, you can take their sanitary areas a little higher so they can get down on cool and
Yep.
kinda cool down a lot easier
We call
on
it a
top.
tunnel because we
Yeah,
literally shave a tunnel up to their chest. You can't see it if they're walking around, but it does provide we do it with cats too.
yep,
Um, it just provides some 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 airflow in areas that they don't normally get it, and in those areas that normally we'll shave behind the ears, we shave the mats, we shave all those areas that we mentioned
yep.
earlier. We
Armpits.
we just take the hair out from those areas, and it prevents a lot of that matting from even
Yeah.
happening.
Wow. Well, thank you both for breaking down this important summer topic for us today. We'll see everyone next time.
That's a wrap for this episode of Tail Talk with Hound Therapy. Ready to book your pet's next groom, daycare stay, or grooming academy tour? Call us at 469-367-0009. That's 469-367-0009 to schedule an appointment. Or visit us online at www.houndtherapy.com. Serving North Texas with expert pet care. Until next time, keep those tails wagging.